Billahi ta'ala. Correct your intentions. قال المؤلف رحمه الله, said the author, may Allah have mercy upon him. وعن عبد الله بن عمرو أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذكر فتاني القبر. And from Abdullah bin Amr, that the messenger of God, may peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned the two interrogators of the grave. فقال عمر بن الخطاب, and so Umar ibn al-Khattab said, radiyallahu anhu, may Allah accept from him, أترد علينا عقولنا يا رسول الله. Shall our minds be restored for us, O Messenger of God? قال نعم, he said yes, كهيئتكم اليوم, as you are today. قال فبفيه الحجر, he said, Umar was speechless. Literally translated, the statement means he had a stone in his mouth. Ash-SharH, the explanation is that al-fattanu huwa al-mumtahin. The fattan, it's mentioned in the hadith, the two fattans. The fattan is the interrogator. Munkarun wa nakirun. Munkar and Nakir, those two angels that you know. سُمِّيَ بِذَلِكَ لِأَنَّهُمَا يَمْتَحِنَانِ النَّاسِ. They were called as such because they interrogate the people. مُنْكَرٌ مَعْنَاهُ هَذِهِ الْهَيْئَةُ غَيْرُ مَعْرُوفَةٌ. Munkar, the meaning of this name is unfamiliar form. Unfamiliar form. هيئتهما تختلف عن سائر الملائكة. The form of these angels, Munkar and Nakir, is different from the rest of the angels. وعن الإنس والجن, and different from the humans and genies. هذا معنى Munkar. This is the meaning of Munkar. Unfamiliar, as if it means alien, yani different, not known. وَلَيْسَ مَعْنَاهُ بَاطِلًا. It doesn't mean here, Munkar doesn't mean here invalid or objectionable. It means unfamiliar. قَالَ تَعَالَى, Allah Ta'ala said, قَالَ سَلَامٌ قَوْمٌ مُنْكَرُونَ, in Surah Al-Dhariyat. That's about the story of Abraham, when the angels came to him. And you know that story, he did not know they were angels. They came in the form of humans. So they came to him and they gave him salam. So, قَالَ salam, he said salam. قَوْمٌ مُنْكَرُونَ, you are unknown people to me. You are munkar people, unfamiliar to me. That's the 25th ayah of Surah Al-Dhariyat. So Shaykh is saying, this is the meaning of Munkar here. Yani, that's a linguistic. Shaykh is showing you that Munkar has this meaning in the language. Look how Abraham said, Allah told us that Abraham said to those angels that were humans, he didn't even know they were angels, and that he didn't know who they were, as thinking they were humans. So he told them, you are Munkar people to me, unfamiliar. وَسُؤَالُ الْقَبْرِ خَاصٌ بِأُمَّةِ مُحَمَّدٍ. And the interrogation of the grave is particular to the nation of Muhammad. And here, nation of Muhammad means those who believed and those who did not believe. The non-Muslims, even if they didn't believe, they didn't know, they are still part of the nation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They will be judged on Judgment Day according to the law of the Quran, because Muhammad is the prophet of this time, not the law of the Injil or the law of the Torah. That's for whoever that applied to. لم يكن قبل سيدنا محمد أن يسأل الميت. ماذا تقول في موسى ماذا تقول في عيسى. It wasn't before that, it was not before our sire Muhammad that the dead would be asked, what did you used to say of Moses, for example? What did you used to say of Jesus? وَإِنَّمَا هَذَا زِيَادَةٌ فِي شَرْعِ مُحَمَّدٍ. This is merely an addition to the sacred law of Muhammad. وَقَوْلُهُ أَتُرَدُّ عَلَيْنَا عُقُولُنَا. And Umar saying, shall our minds be restored for us? يعني عند السؤال. He means upon interrogation. فقال له الرسول. And so the messenger said to him, نعم, yes, كهيئتكم اليوم, as you are today. أي يكون الجواب من الجسم مع الروح. Meaning that one would respond by body and soul. It's just that his life there is different now. Now we are alive. What's our case? Our case was that first our souls were created. And those souls were, monotheism was exposed to them. They were made aware of monotheism, those souls, before their bodies were created. Then a woman gets pregnant. Then a soul gets installed into a fetus. The soul will forget everything. The fetus comes to life. Then a person lives his life in this world like we experience. And he will never remember what happened in soul before his soul was installed into the fetus. Then his soul will be uninstalled when the angel of death takes it out. Then he will experience what he experiences. Then usually he'll be buried. Then his soul will be reinstalled. Now when his soul gets reinstalled here, it's going to be alive again, but not like we're alive now. So the Shaykh says, this means that the Prophet is telling Umar that you shall answer by body and soul. But it's not going to be like you're alive right now, moving around and everything. فَقَالَ فَبِفِيهِ الْحَجَرُ. And so he said, Umar was silent. Meaning that the answer is by body and soul. And so he said, فَبِفِيهِ الْحَجَرُ. He went silent. A, meaning, وَسَكَتَ. He went silent. وَانْقَطَعَ عَنِ الْكَلَامِ. معناه ليس له حجة على ما كان يظن. It means that he didn't have any argument for what he was thinking, for what he was assuming. هو كان يظن أنه لا ترد عليهم عقولهم. He was thinking that their minds would not be restored. فلما قال له الرسول بأنه ترد عليهم عقولهم. Okay. So then when the messenger said to him that their minds shall indeed be restored for them, عرف خطأ ظنه. He knew the mistake of his assumption. قال المؤلف رحمه الله, said the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أنه قال. And from Abu Hurairah, may Allah accept from him, that he said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, إذا قبر الميت أو الإنسان. When the dead is buried, or the human. When the human is buried, or when the dead is buried. أتاه ملكان أسودان أزرقان. Two blue-black angels approach him, come to him. Blue-black is a single color. Perhaps is navy blue, that's a dark blue, leaning towards blackness. يُقَالُ لِأَحَدِهِمَا Munkar. The hadith continues. One of them is called Munkar, وَلِلْآخَرِ Nakir. And the other is called Nakir. فَيَقُولَانِ لَهُ. They both say to him, مَا كُنْتَ تَقُولُ فِي هَذَا الرَّجُلِ مُحَمَّدٍ. What were you saying concerning this man, Muhammad? فَهُوَ قَائِلٌ مَا كَانَ يَقُولُ. And so he shall be a sayer of what he used to say. فَإِنْ كَانَ مُؤْمِنًا قَالَ. And so if he were a believer, he says, هُوَ عَبْدُ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولُهُ. He is the slave of God and his messenger. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I testify that no one is God but Allah, and I testify that Muhammad is his slave and his messenger. فيقولان له. And so they both say to him, إن كنا لنعلم أنك لتقول ذلك. Indeed, we certainly knew by God that you would surely say that. ثم يفسح له في قبره 70 ذراعا في 70 ذراعا. Then his grave shall be expanded for him 70 cubits by 70 cubits. وينور له فيه. And it shall be illuminated for him. فَيُقَالُ لَهُ نَمْ. Then it will be said to him, sleep. فَيَنَامُ كَنَوْمِ الْعَرُوسِ الَّذِي لَا يُوقِظُهُ إِلَّا أَحَبُّ أَهْلِهِ. And then he sleeps like the sleep of a newlywed who is not awakened but by his most beloved wife. حتى يبعثه الله من مضجعه ذلك. Until Allah resurrects him from that bed of his. Now that doesn't mean that his body never leaves the grave. It means he will enjoy. It means he will enjoy until he's resurrected. So he will experience the enjoyment of his grave in body and soul until his body decays. And then he will experience the enjoyments in soul until he's resurrected and he will come up out of his grave. Allah will resurrect him from his grave. Ash-SharH, the explanation is that بعدما يدفن الإنسان, after a human is buried, يأتيه ملكان أسودان أزرقان. Two blue-black angels come to him. أي لونهما ليس من السواد الخالص. Meaning that their color is not pure black. بل من الأسود الممزوج بالزرقة. Rather, it is black merged with blue. وهذا يكون أخوف ما يكون من الألوان. And this is the most frightening of colors. حتى يفزع الكافر منها. That is so that the blasphemer will be horrified by it. أما المؤمن التقي. But concerning the God-fearing believer, فلا يخاف منهما. He will not be afraid of them. الله تعالى يثبته. Allah, exalted is He, makes him firm. يلهمه الثبات. He will inspire him with steadfastness. Yani, when he encounters them, when he sees them upon their true forms, he will not be shaken. وهما لا ينظران إليه نظرة غضب. And they will not look at him with a look of wrath or anger or fury. أما الكافر, as for the blasphemer, though, يرتاع منهما, he will be terrified of those two when he lays his eyes upon them. وقد سميا منكرا ونكيرا لأن الذي يراهما يفزع منهما. They were called Munkar and Nakir because whoever sees them is frightened of them. وفي الحديث أن منكرا ونكيرا يقولان للمقبور. And according to a excuse me, and according to a hadith, Munkar and Nakir both say to the buried one, ما كنت تقول في هذا الرجل. What were you saying concerning this man? أي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Meaning Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. يسميان الرسول باسمه. They shall name the messenger by his name. وليس الرسول شاهدا حاضرا للسؤال. But the messenger won't be present and observed during the interrogation. بعض أهل الغلو يدعون أن الرسول بذاته يحضر. Some extremists claim that the messenger in person shall be present. يكون شاهدا. He will be a witness to the interrogation. هذا لا أساس له. This has no base. إنما هي إشارة إلى المعهود ذهنا. This is merely pointing to someone in mind. Their interrogation is merely pointing to someone in mind. فيقول الرجل ما كان يقوله قبل الموت. And so the man will say whatever he used to say before death. المسلم قبل الموت كان يقول عبد الله ورسوله. The Muslim before death used to say the slave of God and his messenger. فيقول ذلك ويقرنه بالشهادة. And so he shall say that, and he will accompany that, associate that with the shahada. يقول, he will say, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. I testify that no one is God but Allah, and I testify that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Allah Ta'ala yulhimuhu wa yuqdiruhu ala al-jawab. Allah Ta'ala inspires him and empowers him to respond. Kullu muslimin yujibu bidhalik. Every Muslim will answer this way. Here in the footnote it says, it was not reported what those angels say to the sinful Muslim after he testifies to the prophethood of our Master Muhammad. That which was already mentioned of the hadith is the answer of a perfect believer to the angels. Is the answer of the angels to the perfect believer. Is the answer of the angels to the perfect believer. إنما الذي لا يستطيع الجواب هو الذي ينكر ويجزم بنفي رسالة سيدنا محمد. Merely, the one who's not able to respond is the one who denied and was insistent on negating the message of our Master Muhammad. Al-Kafir al-Mu'lin wal-Munafiq. The open disbeliever, the one who does not profess to be a Muslim, and the hypocrite, so the disbeliever who pretends to be a Muslim. Kilahuma yaqulan. Both of those shall say, Kuntu aqulu ma yaqulu nas. I say what the people used to say. ثم إن المؤمن التقي يوسع قبره 70 ذراعا طولا في 70 ذراعا عرضا. Furthermore, the God-fearing believer, his grave shall be expanded 70 cubits long, 70 cubits wide. So what about misguided sects attributed to Islam? So it goes back to here what we were mentioning. which is that either if he's a misguided person who claims to be a Muslim, that either he's a major sinner or he's a kafir. So if he's a kafir, then his answer is covered here. He would say, I say what the people used to say. And if he was a believer, then he will say what the believers say. But what do the angels say back to him? Our footnote is telling us there's no report about how the angels respond to the sinner. وَذَلِكَ بِذِرَاعِ الْيَدِ. And these 70 cubits is the human cubit. وَهِيَ شِبْرَانِ تَقْرِيبًا. The human cubit is approximately 2 hand spans. And a hand span is when you spread your fingers. So it's the distance from pinky to thumb of average hand. وَبَعْضُهُمْ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. And for some people, it will be expanded more than that. كما حصل للعلاء بن الحضرمي الصحابي الجليل. Like what happened to Al-Ala ibn al-Hadrami, the great companion, الذي كان من أكابر الأولياء, that one who was amongst the elite saints. فإنه اتسع قبره مد البصر. For indeed, his grave was expanded as far as the eye can see. شاهدوا ذلك, they witnessed that. لما نبشوا القبر ليدفنوه في مكان آخر. When they exhumed his grave so to bury him in another place. لأن المكان الذي دفنوه به كثير السباع. Because the place where they buried him had lots of scavengers. That's why they wanted to dig him out and put him somewhere else. وَيُنَوَّرُ قَبْرُهُ. And such a one's grave will be illuminated. أي المؤمن التقي, meaning the God-fearing believer. وَيُفْتَحُ لَهُ فِي قَبْرِهِ بَابٌ إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. And in his grave, a portal to the garden shall be opened. فَيَأْتِيهِ نَسِيمُهَا. And then its breeze will come to him. وَيَمْلَأُ عَلَيْهِ خَضِرًا. وَيُمْلَأُ عَلَيْهِ خَضِرًا. And his grave will be filled for him with greenery. وَيُوضَعُ فِي قَبْرِهِ مِنْ نَبَاتِ الْجَنَّةِ الْأَخْضَرِ. And green plants from the garden shall be put into his grave. وَهَذَا كُلُّهُ حَقِيقِي. And all of this is literal. لَيْسَ وَهْمًا. And it is not a delusion. لَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَحْجُبُ ذَلِكَ عَنْ أَبْصَارِ النَّاسِ. However, Allah veils that from the visions of the people. أي أكثرهم, meaning most of them. أما أهل الخصوصية من عباد الله الكاملين فيشاهدون. As for the specialists amongst the perfect slaves of God, they do witness it. والحكمة في إخفاء الله حقائق أمور القبر. And the wisdom behind God making the realities of the matters of the grave hidden. وأمور الآخرة. As well as the matters of the afterlife. ليكون إيمان العباد إيمانا بالغيب. Is so that the slaves would believe in the unseen. فيعظم ثوابه. And then his reward would be magnified. So that's our case. In this life, we believe in the unseen. We are believers. Now, in the unseen, and the kuffar are not believers. In the afterlife, the kuffar, they're going to still be kuffar. Their status is going to be confirmed. They died as kuffar. They are kuffar. But they will be believers in reality, though. But their status that they're kuffar. And the reason they're going to be believers in reality because they're going to see everything. So they will see hell, they will see the bridge, they will see the angels, they will see, they're going to be resurrected, they're going to experience Judgment Day. So they will believe in all of that because they will see it. Had it not been that they saw it, then they wouldn't have believed it. That's the difference between them and the believers. ثم إن المؤمن التقي يقال له. Furthermore, the God-fearing believer, it is said to him, Nam, sleep. فينام كنوم العروس الذي لا يوقظه إلا أحب أهله إليه. So he sleeps like the sleep of a newlywed, not awakened but by his most beloved wife. أي لا يحس بقلق لا يحس بقلق أي لا يحس بقلق ولا وحشة, meaning he does not sense worry. He doesn't feel worry. He's not bothered, nor does he feel lonely or alienated. أما الآن, as for now, الناس يخافون من الموت. People are afraid of death. لكن في تلك الساعة لا يخافون. However, at that time, they won't be afraid. لأن الله آمنهم من الخوف. Because Allah will make them safe from fear. This is the goal, to die as good believers, forgiven. If we are not punished after death, then we won. If you're not punished in your grave, you won. Because if you're not punished in your grave, you won't be punished in the afterlife. And we even learned some things that help us prepare. Like the fact that if your good deeds are more than your bad deeds, then Allah will forgive you. And also, if you don't have any major sins at all, only minor sins, Allah will forgive you. None of that I'm saying to encourage you to sin a little bit, but just so you can prepare for the grave. Me too, inshallah. As the days go past, if you're a person who sins, then as the days go past and you find yourself, you're still alive, it's another day, you're still alive, then inshallah, we'll be decreasing our sins, because we know every day is getting closer and closer to death. Soon it's going to be our turn to be the one that the brothers are washing or the sisters are washing. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. It's inevitable. وقد ورد في الأثر أن المؤمن أي الكامل يقول له الملائكة. And it did come in some traditions that the angels say to the perfect believer, Assalamu alayka ya wali Allah. Peace be upon you, O saint of God. فلا يبقى بعد ذلك فيه خوف من الموت والقبر. And then when that happens, he will no longer be afraid of death or the grave. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. قال المؤلف رحمه الله, said the author, may Allah have mercy upon him. فإن كان منافقا قال لا أدري. And if that one were a hypocrite, he says, I don't know. كنت أسمع الناس يقولون شيئا. I used to hear the people saying something. فكنت أقوله. So I used to say it. فيقولان له. And so they both say to him, إن كنا لنعلم أنك لتقول ذلك. Indeed, we certainly knew that you would by God say that. ثم يقال للأرض التئمي. Then it will be said to the earth, close. فتلتئم عليه حتى تختلف أضلاعه. And then it closes on him until his ribs crisscross. فلا يزال معذبا حتى يبعثه الله تعالى من مرجعه ذلك. And he will not cease to be tortured until Allah resurrects him from that bed of his. Ash-SharH, the explanation. سؤال الملكين للكافر من ربك وهما يعلمان أنه سيقول لا أدري. The two angels asking the disbeliever, who is your Lord? While knowing that he shall say, I do not know. لأنهما يعرفان أنه لا يقولها عن اعتقاد. Is because they know that he doesn't say that out of conviction. إنما يقولها عن دهشة. Rather, he says that out of surprise. يقولها عن سبق لسان. He says it with his tongue running without him thinking. من شدة الفزع, from his severe panic. من غير ضبط لسانه, without having control over his tongue. ولا يعتقد ذلك, and he doesn't believe it. أو يخبر عما مضى له في الدنيا, or it is that he tells about what already passed, what happened in the past. He's telling about what was his case in the past. So, for example, if you said to a person, what was your religion? And he said, my religion was such and such. That's not blasphemy. He's telling you what his religion used to be. بعض الناس يستشكلون. Some people have a problem. They find something problematic. يقولون, they say, إذا كان لا يجوز أن يقال للكافر ما دينك. If it's not permissible to say to a disbeliever, what's your religion? مع العلم بأنه سيجيب أنا يهودي أو مجوسي. When knowing that he would answer, I'm a Jew, I'm a Majusi. فكيف يجوز للملكين في القبر أن يسأل الكافر? Then how would it be permissible for the two angels to ask the disbeliever in his grave, وهما يعلمان أنه سيجيب لا أدري? How would they be able to ask him this while knowing that he's going to say, I don't know? فالجواب أنه يجيب مخبرا عما كان يعتقده في الماضي. The answer is that he is talking about, he will inform. The answer is that he will answer by telling about what he was believing in the past, قبل الموت, before death. من غير أن يعتقد الآن أنه حق, without believing presently when they're asking him that it's true. وبهذا زال الإشكال. By this, what those people deemed problematic is answered. It goes away. There's no problem anymore. وقولهما إن كنا لنعلم, يعني what we need to do, yani what people need to do, a lot of people, is instead of trying to find how something's kufr, they should find how something's not kufr. Then it's going to be easier for them. So if it's explicit, then there's no way to find it's not kufr. But if it can be taken more than one way, then you're not going to deem it kufr. You're going to take it in a way that's not kufr. And then you'll relax. وَقَوْلُهُمَا إِن كُنَّا لَنَعْلَمْ مَعْنَاهُ قَدْ كُنَّا نَعْلَمْ. And when the angels say to him, indeed, we were certainly knowing, it means like I just translated for you. إن هذه تسمى مخففة من الثقيلة أي المشددة. In this hadith is a shortened form of inna, which means certainly or verily. يقال في اللغة إن كنت لأعلم كذا وكذا أي قد كنت أعلم كذا وكذا. هذه أصلها إن ولكن خففت بترك الشدة وتقدير أنه كنا نعلم ذلك. So all what I'm reading right now is just explaining what I translated. And I don't need to translate all of what he's saying here. He's explaining in. And he's saying in here is a shortened form of inna. Inna is the particle for emphasis and other things. So that's the one I'm translating as indeed or certainly. وهذه اللام تسمى لام التوكيد أي أننا كنا قبل أن تجيب أنك كنت على هذا الاعتقاد نعلم ذلك. And this lam here in la na'lam is called the lam of emphasis. So in is for emphasis and the lam is for emphasis. That's why I was saying certainly we indeed knew or something like that. وَالْمُنَافِقُ هُوَ الَّذِي يُبْطِنُ الْكُفْرِ. And the hypocrite, he's the one, so we're explaining all the words in the hadith here. The hypocrite, he's the one who hides the blasphemy. He keeps it in. He keeps the blasphemy inside. وَيَتَظَاهَرُ بِالْإِسْلَامِ. But he displays Islam outwardly. كَعَبْدِ ibn Ubay. Like Abdullah ibn Ubay. فإنه مع ما كان ينقل عنه من النفاق. For indeed, along with what was reported about him, what used to get reported about him of hypocrisy, كان يتشهد ويصلي خلف الرسول. He used to say the shahada and pray behind the messenger. Can you imagine, subhanAllah, this kind of person is living like this, living his life like this and lie. He goes home in his own privacy, he's wretched, hating Islam. Then when Muslims come around, he's smiling in their faces, for example. And he goes to the masjid, he doesn't really want to. And he's going to live his life like this. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. ولما سئل عما نسب إليه كقوله لا يخرجن الأعز منها الأذل. And whenever he would be asked about something attributed to him, like when he said, the nobles will indeed kick out the lowlifes. Ankar, he denied it. قال لم أقل. He said, I never said it. ومراده بالأعز نفسه. And what he meant by the noble was himself. وبالأذل. And what he meant by the lowlife was الرسول, the messenger. فلذلك الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يجري عليه أحكام المسلم. This is why the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to apply to him the rules of a Muslim. لأنه لم يعترف, because he never confessed. بل بقي متظاهرا بالإسلام. Rather, he stayed displaying Islam. ولم يثبت عند الرسول نفاقه بالبينة الشرعية. And his hypocrisy was never confirmed for the messenger by religious proof. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيْهِ بَعْدُ فِي شَأْنِهِ مَا يُثْبِتُ عَلَيْهِ ذَلِكَ. And it was not yet revealed to him concerning this man's case what would confirm that. فَكَانَ يُجْرِي عَلَيْهِ. I hope I said يُجْري in the right place. Yes, يُجْري. فَكَانَ يُجْرِي عَلَيْهِ أَحْكَامَ الْمُسْلِمِ. And so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to apply to him the rules of the Muslim. بِحَسَبِ ظَاهِرِ حَالِهِ. In accordance with what appears from his case. وعندما مات أجرى حكمه على مقتضى ذلك. And when he died, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam applied the judgments of a Muslim to him. فصلى عليه. So he prayed over him. ثم أطلعه الله بعد ذلك على كفره ونفاقه. Then after that, Allah made him know his blasphemy and hypocrisy. Then Allah revealed it to him afterwards. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, without the revelation, he goes according to the religious rules. That's why he said that it could be that one person knows how to talk better than the other, and then he would hear a case between these two. The Prophet would hear a case between these two. And the wrongdoer would be a better talker, and then he would make a better case. And then the messenger might rule in his favor. It would be because he doesn't rule this way by revelation. He rules this way by the rules. So he told us himself that this could possibly happen because I'm going by the rules. وهذا هو الموافق للقواعد الشرعية فليتنبه. And this is what is compliance. This is what is compliance with the sacred rules. So let there be alert. وقد ذكر ذلك الحافظ ابن حجر وغيره. Hafiz ibn Hajar and others mentioned that. وأما من قال إن الرسول كان يعلم أنه بعد منافق كافر. But concerning anyone who said that the messenger knew that he was indeed a hypocrite, blasphemer, ثم صلى عليه, and then he still prayed on him, فقد جعل الرسول متلاعبا بالدين. Then he makes the messenger someone who plays with the religion. جعله كأنه يقول في صلاته. He made the messenger as if he is someone saying in his prayers, في صلاته عليه اللهم اغفر لمن لا تغفر له. As if the messenger is saying in his prayers, oh Allah, forgive this one that forgive someone that you don't forgive. وذلك كفر. And that's blasphemy. ثم يقال للأرض التئمي عليه. Then it would be said to the earth, close on him. فيضيق عليه القبر. And then the grave will tighten on him. حتى تتشابك أضلاعه. Until his ribs intertwine. ثم هذا العبد لا يزال معذبا بهذا العذاب حتى يبعثه الله. Then this slave will not cease to be tortured with this torture until God resurrects him. ثم بعد أن يبعث يعذب بأشياء غير التي كان يعذب بها. Then after he is resurrected, he will be tortured with things that he had not been tortured yet with, other than what he was being tortured with, وهو في القبر, while in the grave. ثم بعد دخوله النار يكون أشد وأشد. Then after his entrance into the fire, it will be even worse. Wallahu a'lam.